What's up, guys? How's everybody doing this morning? Let me know in the chat if you guys can hear me and see me. Yeah, my mic's on. Good morning, good morning. Hope everybody's doing good. Hope you guys are surviving this trading conditions we've had the last few weeks. Let me know in the chat if you guys can hear me and see me. All good, sweet, sweet. All right, guys, welcome in. Happy Friday. Post FOMC Friday. Tricky conditions, yeah. Listen, I don't like to sit and complain and whine and moan about, the trading conditions, because at the end of the day, it is what it is. The market goes through different phases. It's our job as traders to adapt, improvise, adapt, overcome, right? That's our job. So I don't like to complain and moan about the conditions. However, we just need to be clear-eyed about what's going on, where there's opportunity and where there's not. And at least for me, there hasn't been a ton of opportunity so far this month. So I've definitely sized down and slowed down my trading activity this month. So we'll go through the analysis, things that I've been watching, and then where we're at overall. If you're new to trading with me on here, I'm an order flow trader. I primarily trade ES futures. I also trade SPY. I also trade NQ a bit, but primarily 90% ES. Good morning, Jesus from Florida. Welcome in. Welcome in, guys. Let's see what I miss. Good morning, Jean, Kana, Z White. Welcome in. Night Drop. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. All right, so before we start getting into the analysis, guys, I do want to take a minute to pause and say a thank you to all these sponsors. There's a ton of work that goes on in the back end to make all these live streams happen for you guys on Chart Fanatics, as well as all the phenomenal content that the Words of Wisdom and Chart Fanatics team puts out. So if you want the best deals from our funded accounts and things like that, sponsored, Prop Firm Trader, as well as Funded Next, Apex running a huge deal right now. So check out the discount codes if you guys are interested in those. These will scroll through, as well as TradeSella. I'm a huge fan of TradeSella. I've been using them for years. Again, CF20 for the discount link there. So if you guys are not taking advantage of these deals, highly recommend doing so and not just overpaying. But again, thank you to these sponsors. Check out the codes for the best deals. Now let's get into the analysis for today, and really going through everything here on ES and NQ. We're at a couple key spots that I'm going to point out. Nitu, welcome from India. I've got a lot of people in my group and in Instagram and everything from India. There's a lot of traders there, some really good traders from India. So as always, I'm going to kind of take some snips and go through the game plans. If you guys are not already in the Chart Fanatics Discord, it's free to join. Highly recommend. Great resource to connect with other good traders, as well as the pro traders here from CF Live. In the chat there, I have a channel under the CF Live, and that's where I'll drop snips from the live stream today about the different analysis that I'm talking through. And trade setups that I'm watching out for, game and my game plan and things like that. Yeah, Rehan said, thank you, sponsors. We're learning a lot because of you guys. Yeah, if you guys aren't aware, CF Live does live streams every day with pro traders, dropping a ton of knowledge for you guys, as well as all the discounts and content in the Chart Fanatics Discord. So definitely thank you to the sponsors and take advantage of that. How's everybody been doing, first of all? For the last really a couple weeks since Thanksgiving. Let me know in the chat. Have you guys been up? Are you down? Are you kind of sitting back, staying cash the last couple weeks? And also let me know what you guys trade. If you guys trade ES and NQ, if you trade gold, if you trade Forex, let me know in the chat. I would like to get a feel for what everybody has been doing. And if there's specific things that you've been struggling with, also let me know in the chat. I try to touch on things as much as possible and answer people's questions throughout my streams, just to make it a valuable session. You know, I do live trade and share my trades, etc., but I like to make it a valuable coaching session for people to answer questions and go through different things, because very likely if you're struggling with it in your trading journey, many other people are too. Gold and NQ. Clifford said gold and NQ. I have not jumped on the gold bandwagon. It seems like a lot of people have, and it's not just a bandwagon. There's been a lot of volatility there. So when there's volatility, there's opportunity. But it seems like everywhere I look, everybody's trading gold now. I have not participated at all. I don't know. I just have my thing that works and I just do that. Yeah, somebody said I'm up, but they're a scalper, gold and NQ, just taking tiny moves. It's been hard to get a piece of anything for long without getting chopped out the last couple weeks, and that's just been the nature of the conditions that we're in. I'll talk through that. Let's see, traded one day the last 2 weeks. Good setup yesterday at the lows. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Johnny Cash said, man, I tried 3 times to catch the lows yesterday on ES. I was at the right location, everything, and I just got chopped out of it break even before the move. So that was frustrating. I did end up scalping just like 5 points. I was risking like 1 point. So I did end up scalping a few points yesterday, but it was disappointing. I was in longs like multiple times, right around 68.40. And just got chopped out of it before the move, and then we had pretty much all day move. And I didn't trade FOMC yesterday. A lot of times I do. The last couple FOMCs I have traded. I look to scalp the volatility after the news comes out. But this one, we were just kind of in the middle of the range that we've been in for the last 2 weeks going into the news, and I just was like, I wasn't even at my screens. I just completely walked away. Total and profit for this week. Are you asking me? I have had a pretty flat week, to be honest with you guys. Just full disclosure, I'm up like a couple $100. But I am excited for the opportunity that is developing here now that we're starting to get some higher volatility. I mean, just looking at the 4-hour chart. And this is a good time to start talking through things here. Let me go ahead and snip my screen really quick. So looking at a 4-hour chart here on ES. You can see here, ES 4-hour chart. So pretty much since Thanksgiving holiday, you can see these short days back here. Was that Thanksgiving? Yeah. Let me just double check, make sure I'm not. Yeah. Since then, we've had a pretty choppy grind, right? So we were having some nice volatility for a while. Just look at the up and down movement that we had on the 4-hour. But then post that holiday, a lot of people probably got chopped to death in this. Now, there was some warning signs going into this, and really actually starting out this Monday, last week, I pretty much was telling everybody that I trade with that the market is kind of between a rock and a hard place. And I was kind of watching out for conditions to go kind of choppy. And that is pretty much what happened. So I was already like from the get-go getting less and less active. And the reason was a couple things. I was watching this. So let me clean this up a little bit here. I was watching this area of prior highs that ES had broken out over. And I was watching this area of supply, which was like the last kind of swing high supply area before that last sell-off. right? So before this last move down, we ended up making a nice V-shaped recovery like we've done pretty much every single drop for the last couple years. But, I was watching these prior highs that we broke out of, and then this supply area. So going into the holiday, I was saying we're kind of in the middle of that. And then post the holiday, that's why I was kind of watching out, saying we're kind of between a rock and a hard place. And, the volatility really died out after Thanksgiving. And we did continue to grind higher, but it's been pretty choppy to where it's difficult, to catch a decent piece of the move, at least for me and how I trade, right? Everybody, maybe some people have different setups that work really well. So the things that I've been trying to catch for the most part has just been quick scalps on mean reversions. That has pretty much been what I've been looking for, just again and again and again. Now, we did kind of hit this top over this key level at 6,900, which was this prior swing high, and rejected. But it wasn't like a massive rejection, really. We just kind of tapered off back inside this range. I've really just been watching this range between 6,800 and 6,900. So we got a little bit above that on the news yesterday. However, it did kind of lack continuation and dropped back into towards the middle of the range. Somebody said they blew their funded account or prop account. Guys, I highly recommend trying to treat your prop firm accounts if you trade them. Like I said, I'd trade personal capital, but if you are trading and taking advantage of prop firm accounts, I highly recommend treating it like it's real capital and trading small. Just because a funded account lets you trade, I don't even know what it is, like 10 ES contracts, right? Say that's like a 50K account, whatever it is. Don't trade with that thinking you have a 50K account, right? What is the max drawdown on the account? If it's $2,000, then you essentially have a $2,000 account. So treat it like you have a $2,000 account. General recommendation is probably risk less than 5% per trade. Me, I personally typically risk like 1 or 2% per trade. And if it's a really good trade, I'll risk maybe like 4% per trade. That's just my general advice. From what I've seen from people that are really good with prop firms, the way to get scalability is not to, full port the accounts. It's just to add more accounts and copy trade them with small size, not over leveraging the accounts to where you're like blowing them in just a couple trades. That's, again, I don't trade them. I trade my own personal capital, but that's the best advice that I could give just from an outside looking in. All right, so you can see we went back to the middle of this range here, and then obviously off the news, we broke these, prior highs again over that 6,900, and now we're just kind of consolidating here, kind of holding. Let me drop this in the Chart Fanatics live Discord chat there so you guys can review that if you're interested. Again, I'm just starting out at a very high level, general, just kind of price action and market structure, just kind of looking at key levels, supply and demand, etc. Things like that at just a very high level. Then I'll get more narrowed down into like volume profiles and order flow stuff and key levels that I'm watching that are going to actually impact my trades. But I always like to start out every single day with the overall market context in mind. The overall analysis and location of the market is absolutely key. There is a quote that I shared in the Discord yesterday or 2 days ago that I really think is super important for the current market conditions. And I shared the pages of the book where this is from. I highly recommend checking this out. But it says, the market may be unsuited for tape reading operations when prices drift up and down without trend, like a ship without a rudder, and few positive indications develop. The percentage of stay back, stay patient, and sit out until there is a good opportunity. Okay? This is what a lot of people cannot do. And this is what a lot of people, this is probably the top thing that holds a lot of people back in their trading, is just the inability to just stay patient and disciplined and sit on their hands when it's the right time to do so. So I shared the pages. This is from a book called The Studies in Tape Reading. It's one of my favorite trading books. It's an old book, but the concepts still apply to the current market. But I shared the pages from that. and it's really good. So I think that's super applicable to the market conditions we've been in the last couple weeks, is just knowing when to sit on your hands, when to stay back and wait for the right opportunities to execute. Make sense to you guys? Good morning, Damien. Good morning, George. Welcome in, guys. All right, so moving on to the next piece of analysis here. Like I said, you can see just from the 4-hour chart where we're at. Now, looking at NQ, I'll just do a little comparison here with NQ. Similar stuff. I've been watching this area around 25,700, really to just see if bulls would be able to sustain above there. If bulls were able to sustain above there, I was looking for really continuation into all-time highs. Specifically on ES, I was kind of using this as an additional confluence for ES. I really wanted to see bulls hold above 25,700 on NQ to kind of indicate, you know, both indices kind of being strong and moving back towards all-time highs. And so without that, it's been a little bit tough to look for longs on ES when NQ has been dragging. And you can see actually NQ is quite a bit relatively weaker. It looks like it just failed to break those even these recent prior highs. And ES actually broke these prior highs from way back here. NQ didn't even break, you know, the last week prior highs and has dropped considerably further back into yesterday's range. So ideally for ES to really break out and have that continuation to all-time highs, I'd really like to see NQ get back over this level and show some strength. Now, there are some areas down here, really down in this wick. If NQ can kind of hold at least above here, kind of above 25.5, then there's some areas that I'm looking for on ES to possibly long a dip. A little bit preemptively speculating we kind of hold here and then go break this out. Yeah, and we can just see the reason, like look to the left, look at all these lows. Every time we've dipped into here, it's been bought, right? So that's why, yeah, this got a little messy here. We dipped under it, but really didn't sustain and recaptured right back over these lows. What up, Marco? Here, I got something for Marco. Ultra marathon and marathon. Chat, we need to peer pressure Marco into getting a marathon done. I was just waiting for that. I was just waiting for Marco to get in the chat. What's up, bro? All right, guys. We need the whole chat. I need you guys, every time Marco goes live, I need you guys spamming Marco until he does a marathon. Oh man, good stuff. All right, guys, so let's get a little bit more narrowed down here. Those are the things that I'm watching on. Those are the spots that I'm watching on NQ. I know it's kind of higher level. I'll look a little bit more specifically here on the volume profile for today's kind of trading. All right, so this is my 30-minute chart with a volume profile. This is a Sierra chart. I have a similar setup on Tradeovate as well. Actually, let me pull Tradeovate up also because I like having it as a backup. Sometimes I've been having issues with data delay, and so it's nice to have a second option to turn to. So the key things that I'm watching, so obviously, you know, we had a nice consolidation that had a strong breakout on the news. What am I looking at here? Yeah, this is ES. We had a nice fake out yesterday under that. Sorry, not on the news, but we had this nice consolidation and breakout. We took liquidity under it here, and then again, had multiple nice little fake out, again consolidated here overnight after that drop, dipped back into it and rallied. This is where I was trying to catch, after seeing us take out these lows here, consolidate and rip out of it. This is where I was trying to catch longs yesterday, right around 68.40. But unfortunately, this is a 30-minute chart. It was a lot choppier on a lower time frames. I just got chopped out of it multiple times before this whole move occurred, unfortunately. But looking at this context, let me clean this up a little bit. So we had this area where we consolidated a lot. Look at all this volume built here. And then in the afternoon, after the news, we had a nice breakout from here. We left this area of low volume, which again was right kind of under, we could call this a mini resistance supply area from yesterday. Could just call this a little bit of resistance and supply area that we sold off from. And then we broke into that pretty aggressively yesterday and left this LV in here. So that's a key area that I'm watching, and that's around 83 to 90. We could widen it a little bit and just say like 80 to 90 area is key for me. Let me do this. We did hold just above that on that overnight dip, and we're still kind of consolidating in this range. So if we look at all this volume built here, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, we did have this little pop over it, but it did not sustain at all, and we dropped right back in. So 3 days now, every time we've got up here, we've transacted a lot of volume. Look at all this volume, and we've just really kind of stayed in here. Now, NQ also leaning relatively weaker. So a couple things that I'm watching out for. Yesterday, there was a significant positive delta that occurred from like 69.03 to 08.09 area. And I can show you that on my footprint chart here, but give me a second. So there was a significant amount of volume here that was positive delta, which was a kind of an outlier. So I'm watching that area around 69.03 to 08. And then I'm also watching this low volume node area around 68.80 to 90. So those two areas are kind of the nearest areas of interest for me. And they also kind of align with the highs and lows of this significant volume area that we've seen, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days now. So what I'm watching here this morning is if buyers are unable to get over this area here, and that becomes major resistance, especially if NQ continues to be so relatively weak, then I'm watching out possibly to place some shorts just targeting a drop back into the lows, right? Back into use this 80 to 90 area as a target. I'm gonna be very, very cautious with that though, because overall, the market has been trading higher. We already kind of took out lows multiple times and are moving higher. So I really don't love the overall context for this. The other thing that I'm watching, which I would prefer, is a little fake out of these overnight lows that holds this low volume node area to look for a bottom reversal. I'd probably first, I'd probably first just target like 6,900, which is kind of the middle of this area. And, if we see really strong confirmations from buyers into there, possibly leave some on for continuation back to, the highs. Ideally for that, I'd really, after we get in here, I'd really like to see NQ get strong back above 25,700. Dropped that in the chat. Again, if you're not in the Chart Fanatics Discord, this is being shared in the Chart Fanatics Live Discord under the Matt Owen channel under CF Live. So if you want to review those screenshots for the things that I talked through, check it out there. Damien asks, can I give you the next entry? I'm showing you guys what I'm watching out for, but that's on you. So here's just taking a quick glance at my footprint chart from yesterday afternoon. We got a couple minutes till the market open. This is why I'm kind of watching this area, because there was a lot of transacted volume here. So look at all this delta here, positive delta on my footprint chart, and then here 2,200 lots. So this whole area kind of between 09 and 03-ish is kind of an area of interest for me because of that. And we can see even more here. So there was just a ton of positive delta from buyers here. And for a while, it did not move. So it kind of, to me, there was also some interesting activity down here, some large selling. It was kind of just an interesting area to me, especially being that it was like right on this breakout of 6,900. And then ultimately we did squeeze higher, but then we dropped right back under it overnight. So I'm kind of watching that as kind of a key pivotal spot here, where like if bulls get strong above there, it's on back to the highs. And if bears continue to resist there and we stay back below, then I'm watching for us to drop back towards, you know, those 6880s. Drop that in the chat. Is all of that making sense to you guys? Let me know if you have questions. And if I just look at like a 15-minute chart, I drew kind of a little blue box around that area. And look how that has responded. Like, so this is that area where I just showed you on the footprint chart. This is a 15-minute chart. And then look how the market, like we broke out there at the end, but then we went right back to where all that volume was transacted. And we have really, look at all of that consolidation in there. Excuse me, since that occurred. Now, this is why order flow is so powerful, because we saw all that volume transact there and we already knew that was a key spot. And the market went right back there and spent pretty much all night up and down right here. Make sure, but it's positive delta and moved up. It moved up, but then we moved right back down under it. So what does that tell me? It wasn't really, that move up wasn't really accepted, at least for now. And all of that positive delta where the market hung out there for a while, who's on the other side of that? Yeah, VX is dropping a lot. So here is one more piece of information. VX has pretty much stayed weak. However, we are coming into this last like basing period that we rallied out of. So we need to watch if VX gets bought off there, that's going to add pressure to if VX gets bought off there, that's going to definitely add pressure on the indices. Unfortunately, that setup that I just kind of talked about has kind of already played right off the get-go here. The buying failed right into that 6908, the top of that zone that I talked about. And now we've already dropped back under 6,900, back towards 6890, 6890 to 80. So that setup has pretty much already played since 9 a.m. Yeah, this app is Bookmap. This is my favorite order flow analysis tool. I also use footprint charts on both Sierra Chart and Tradeovate. If you want more information on this chart, I share a lot of tips and tricks on it on Instagram. So if you guys don't already, you can follow my page there, DM me any questions that you have about it, and I'm pretty responsive to helping people. Giveaways are coming. We do have multiple giveaways this stream. as always, guys, we have Apex accounts, Funded Next accounts, Alpha Capital accounts. So stay tuned for that. We will do that later in the stream. So we had a nice little dip here right off the open. See if this looks any different. So if you guys aren't aware, if you are using Bookmap, if you are a Bookmap user like me, there is this add-on feature called TM Lite that I've talked about before that kind of removes. Sometimes there's an issue where bracket orders are kind of spoofing the market, and it makes the order flow on the level 2 heat map kind of difficult to see. You can see this annoying bracket orders that it just kind of skews it and makes it hard to see anything. It happens frequently around contract changes and news events. They don't tend to fill, they just kind of spoof the market and follow it around in a really annoying way that makes it hard to see stuff. So I use this TM Lite add-on that filters that out, but the only problem with it is sometimes it filters out real orders on the heat map that I would want to see. And so sometimes in conditions like this, I kind of switch back and forth a little bit between the TM Lite. Usually I'll just kind of leave it on the TM Lite to filter out those annoying bracket orders that kind of distort seeing everything. And maybe that's the whole point of it, is just to make it harder for people to see, whoever's doing that. But at any rate, I will typically just use this TM Lite add-on, and I have it on the low sensitivity setting because I want it to filter out as little as possible. I just want it to get rid of that visual noise from these bracket orders. You can see how I zoom in here, see how it like stair steps and just follows price up and down, but it never actually fills. It just makes it hard to see anything because it skews the heat map. Yeah, we will be doing giveaways. We've got Apex accounts, Funded Next accounts, and Alpha Capital accounts. I'm gonna do my best to keep an eye on the chat with you guys. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. I'm going to take a trade if there's an opportunity that aligns with my setup and the game plan that I shared in the pre-market with you guys. I trade my own real money, so I'm not on streams like trying to get clicks, trying to get views, like blasting off trades. I trade my own system, and I don't trade live on live streams for the purpose of sharing signals. I do it mainly for the purpose of coaching and educating people. So I never recommend just trying to copy trade anyone else, right? Use it as a tool to learn. But you know, if you just try to copy someone else, for one, there's always a delay in technology. You're never ever, especially scalping trading, you're never ever going to be able to realize the same risk reward as somebody else, right? So use it as a tool, as a confluence, as an education resource. But I don't recommend just blindly copying me or anyone else. That's my best advice for people as far as live trading. I've been in this game a long time, and I don't know anybody that's successful from just copy trading other traders. I've been trading since like 2016, and I've been trading in the online space, like in groups and stuff, since around like 2020. And I've yet to meet anyone that's long-term successful just copy trading anyone else. Yeah, Rhythmic Bookmap has Rhythmic data has been occasionally delayed the last couple weeks. I'm not sure what it is, if it was fixed. I upgraded my internet to like super ultra gig fiber internet, and it's been less of a problem. I'm starting to wonder if, you know, it looked fine. My internet speeds looked fine before, but you know, running like multiple streams simultaneously, and you know, I have 3 different data feeds going on at the same time with, you know, Bookmap, Sierra Chart, Thinkorswim, Tradeovate. So I have 4 different live trading data streams going on, plus, you know, running a couple streams simultaneously. So I think that may have contributed to the bookmap delays that I had, but it hasn't been a problem for me the last couple weeks. Yeah, if you guys appreciate the value that gets dropped here for you guys, I would only ask one thing, and that's to smash the like button out of control. It's free to do, and you just hit like. Helps us reach more people, guys. Helps more people get value and improve their trading. How to use bookmap in the footprint chart. Decision to enter trades based on. So 2 weeks ago, I did like a full, the market was kind of closed, and I did like a full kind of intro to order flow trading breakdown. If you guys missed that, mods, could you drop the link to that in the chat for people to go back and review? So I went through a lot of information there on like a full education session on how I use footprint charts and bookmap and different things like that, and how I come with key levels and everything. So I'll talk about it here. I coach people through it here on streams all the time. But if you want like just a dedicated like 2 hours of me just kind of talking through how I see footprint charts, bookmap, and order flow, and how I use it to trade, I did on there. Thank you guys. There's the link. So what I'm seeing here so far is we're obviously holding some higher lows here. This is VWAP2, this green line. We dropped just like we freaking hit it almost to the tick, that 90 area, just above that key zone that I was talking. So that 68, 80 to 90 area is I was either one, using it, looking to use it as a target, or two, possibly looking to use it as a bottom reversal entry off of. And we dropped down there. I didn't see much to take it, like especially like this happened in 1 minute off the open. I'm personally not entering trades 1 minute off the open. But you can see after we dropped in there, look at how sellers have tried to pull back the market each time, and the brakes have got put on each time, and we've held a higher low. So at least in the short term, aggressive buyers bought the dip down here into 90s and drove this higher. And every single time that sellers have tried to resist here, it's been bought by passive buyers. Now, it does look kind of thin. There's not a ton of thick orders. It's kind of thin, which makes it a little difficult for me to trade. And we're kind of retesting now that 69.03 to 08 area. So there's nothing for me to enter here. You know, I was looking for this dip. One, I was looking for it to not be in the first minute and then just immediately shoot up. But two, I was looking for it to dip just a little bit more under the overnight lows into this 80 to 90 area. We can see, like, look at the heat map when we dipped in here right off the open. You can see this was kind of the end of sellers, right? So see on the heat map here, there's a passive buyer sitting here. So right off the open, people try to sell it off. And, you know, we hit down until the last aggressive seller sold, and it got completely absorbed by passive buyers at this moment. And there was nobody left to sell aggressively because everybody that wanted to sell had sold. And so obviously once there's nobody left to sell, passive buyers have absorbed them, and there's only kind of aggressive buyers left to come in the market. And so they started coming in, and we've drifted back up. So that's just context where we're at. We're still kind of ping-ponging between those two areas that I called out, which was 68.90 to 80 and 69.03 to 08. I opened my first trading accounts to start actively trading in 2016. I mostly traded swing trading, options, crypto, and stocks. And I started day trading in around 2020. Wow, some aggressive selling just came in and swept the tape lower. Pretty aggressive selling. So again, look at that. That 69, that's a significant reaction right there. Again, the 6903 to 08, no coincidence. Look at so remember in the pre-market, where did we hit? Just into that 08 area, 09 area. And now where did we just hit? Just into that 03 area, 02, 03, like a tick or two off of it. And look at that. There's no coincidence there. There was some large players there. Anyone who's new to this chart can be traumatized. I guess I've got enough years of watching the order flow that this is extremely simple to me, but I do try to break things down in the most simplistic way so that even brand new traders can start to understand order flow very simply. I know it is kind of a higher learning curve thing, but again, I do my best to break things down in a way that even new traders can understand, but also deep enough that even experienced traders can still get a lot out of. Look at this passive buyer that popped in and that drop. Literally, see where the market bounced from? 93, no coincidence. He popped in, filled that, bought that right there. But again, aggressive sellers are still coming in. We popped back into this area where these large sellers swept the tape lower and large aggressive sellers hit it again. Again, I'm just observing right now because we're really not at a key spot that I want to trade. Maybe up here on this pop towards, 6903, but again, I'm kind of waiting back for more a larger pop or a larger drop into a better key spot. Link's not working. Let me try the link. Oh, that's the wrong link, chat. Here, let me find it. I'll get it. Gotcha. Here's the link to that Chart Fanatics live stream that I did a couple weeks ago where I went through like a whole intro on order flow trading, volume profiles, book map, candle footprint charts, etc. I just dropped it in the chat there. So sellers are still kind of holding this, where we had this pretty aggressive selling here under 6,900. So again, remember from the game plan, I said one thing I'm watching out for is if sellers continue to resist under that 6903 to 08 area and under 6,900. Checking out the charts here, guys. Looking at NQ. NQ is still kind of holding right at the overnight lows. SOX is gapped down. SOX is totally gapped down. So that's adding weight. VX has not really done anything yet. It's still kind of holding flat, but it's like right at this range I just drew a box on it here. Let me show you guys. So VX, this is that area that I was talking about to watch out, kind of holding there. If it comes to life and gets, you know, over there, that will add more pressure on ES and NQ. If it does, then it will make pops harder, more likely to fail on ES and NQ. Unfortunately, I was hoping to see some nice volatility outside of the range that we've been in over the last couple weeks. But we kind of just took out the highs of that range and then dropped right back into it, both ES and NQ. So if bulls can't get back over 6,900, especially 6903 to 08 in the near future, I'm talking like the next 15 minutes, then I think it's very likely we're going to go take out 6880. Or at least go test 6880. This is where I'm talking about. So this is that area. We're kind of like just building volume at the lows here, which just means, in my opinion, it's very likely we're just going to drop into here now, or at least into there. But again, unless I see a nice like pop, I don't see a risk versus reward entry model for it. This may have been a pop here, but again, I want to be in, you know, after seeing all this aggressive selling here, if we get kind of like a large stop hunt spike here, then I may be open to taking this right here where these large sellers are, right around VWAP as well. So if I see a pop into there, I'll be very interested in taking that short if we can pop into there before we go hit 6880. But it looks like it's a no dice. It's just gonna go. Let's see, buyers getting trapped for sure. Absolutely. And as we were kind of grinding it up here, grinding it up right back into that 03 to 08 area. But on this grind up here, let me just show you guys something that this is something that I observe too as we rally into a key area. So this is a little order flow trick. As we rally into a key area, especially like a supply area, if I see multiple attempts, like, it's not good. 1, 2, 3. If I see multiple attempts to rally into a key area and the buying effort gets weaker each time, see how a little bit different here because the bubbles did get larger, but see this third time here, see how much smaller the buying got? That just to me is a sign of exhaustion from the aggressive buyers. And then if we have really aggressive selling step in after, right there, bingo. That happened so fast and that swept it down so fast though, to me, there wasn't anything to enter on. But now with that information of buyers got exhausted here and then aggressive selling came in here, if we do see a pop in there, it may be an opportunity for shorts targeting this kind of 80 to 90 area. But it looks like it's just going for it. I'm not, for my stop loss on this trade would really be above 6,900. And so if I were to get in down here, you know, after seeing that, we never really popped back into this aggressive selling, right? So, you know, the best entry I could have had would have been like 93 or 95. And so we would have had like I would have had like over here, even over 6901, I would have had a 6 or 7 point stop loss. And even if I targeted like the middle between 85 to 90, you know, I'd be looking to squeak out maybe 10 points, 10, 12 points on like a 6, 7 point risk. For me, that's a no trade. Personally, 2 to 1 is like the minimum, or like 1 1 to 2 risk versus reward is like the minimum I will look to take a trade. Ideally, I look to be on average more in like the 3 to 5 risk versus reward range. So this was like, that's why, you know, we saw the analysis, we saw this, we saw the aggressive selling come in here, but for me, there's just nothing doing until I get a pop that has a high risk versus reward and high probability. Yeah, guys, stay tuned. We will be doing giveaways soon. Mega sale on Apex though. So if you guys do trade prop firms, it's one of those times where it's the best opportunity to get some accounts when you have the largest sales. But again, if you do that, you know, don't trade them like a degen, right? Just because it's a prop firm. Like I said, I personally trade my own capital, but if you do go that route, you want to treat it like real capital, appropriate risk for your drawdown, because your account size is really whatever your drawdown allotment is. It's not 50,000, 100,000, 100. It's whatever your drawdown is. That's the most you can lose. That's the account size, right? So treat it as such. Win slow over a long period of time and suck less. Don't try to win fast by over leveraging accounts. That's just, you're not gonna be successful that way. So we're starting to get a pop here. We'll see what happens. But until then, I'm staying very patient. December, guys, I am down on my risk per trade. I'm staying with some smaller size. Just one, the conditions since Thanksgiving, and two, just kind of reducing emotional load here. Holidays and everything like that, you know. So I highly recommend trading with a size that you're comfortable with, not over risking, especially when conditions are not ideal for the setups that you like to trade. We did drop down into 86, so this low volume node area is still key, and I am still watching if I see significant confirmations for that bottom reversal setup that I talked about, especially if we come down towards like 82 to 85. But again, I got to see the entry models that I look for, the confirmations that I look for. Again, we're still just flirting with those key spots, 68.90 to 80, 69.03 to 08. No coincidence, that's where exactly where the market has ping-ponged between. No coincidence, right? We have real hard data behind why those are key spots. There's a few different things. Damien asked, what do you look out for when expecting a reversal? There's a few key things that I look for, and it depends on the location. It depends on if it's a continuation trade, like a trending move, or it depends on if it's kind of a mean reversion and we kind of fake out a low or high. But as a general rule, I look at the market auction on the order flow, and I look for trapped participants, right? So I look for liquidity sweeps that get absorbed by larger players. So I like to see absorption, and I like to see aggressive participants come in the market and move it the other direction fast to trap them. And then I look for a pullback into that to go long or short. Same thing applies both ways, but there is some variations depending on the conditions of how it occurs. But those are generally the two few things that I look for. Good question. Again, I shared the link above in the chat for that whole like kind of educational breakdown I did, and you can check that. I just shared it again on Chart Fanatics Live. I also recommend, if you haven't already, is just checking out my page on Instagram. I share a ton of just free tips and insights on order flow trading. Yeah, Riz is a G. Good trader, best trading podcaster on the internet. Somebody said they wish Riz could have joined live too. Hey, maybe he will sometime. I don't know. He did just share, or he's going to share. Let's check it out in the Discord. He did announce on Chart Fanatics, I believe he's doing a full breakdown on one of his trading strategies, which is mega. Where was that? Or maybe I'm just making that up and I'm calling Riz out. I thought I saw Riz was going to do a full breakdown on one of his trade setups. Maybe don't hold me to that, guys. I may be talking nonsense, but I thought I saw that. 90% off is crazy. Man, can't use Apex in India, somebody said. That's a bummer. So we popped again, but again, a lower high here, still not up to this key area. But what I like about this key area up here is we've got multiple confluences now. We've got that large orders that I talked about, you know, at 6903 to 08. We're resisting below that. We've got really large aggressive sellers that swept the tape down here and resisted that. We've also got VWAP here. So what is that, like 4 confluences going on from this area here? So that's a key spot to watch, guys. And it was a key spot to watch going in through the analysis into the pre-market. And we've just stacked more and more confirmations about why this is a key spot to watch. You guys see how we kind of develop information based on the charts, based on the order flow, based on the real-time market auction that we see. And when we see more and more confluences all stacking on something, you know, we may not get a trade setup on it. We may not. But if we do, now we're developing information. We've got multiple confluences going. You know, that's when you can start developing a really A+ trade. Let me see if I missed anything in the chat. Under which market conditions do you avoid trading at all? Generally, when we're just hanging out too much in the middle, some aggressive selling. Do you guys see how the speed just increased right here? That caught my attention. Sorry, guys. That caught me mid-sentence. One thing that I watch for on the order flow is not only just the size of the bubbles, it's also the speed, right? Did you guys see how that speed just really increased there at the speed of orders coming in, hitting the tape? So like, even if you were just like watching a level 2 on the stock and like filtering by size, same thing that I do when I look at stocks, but you can just see when that tape just starts going, bzzz, you know, order size and speed starts increasing. And look at this, look at this. We saw that before this even happened, just by the speed of the orders coming in. Did you guys see that? So, you know, a key thing to
to learn here is it's not always just the size of the delta, but also we saw this like coming before that even came, just by starting to see the speed of the tape speed up before all this large selling just broke those lows. Did you guys see that? Let me know in the chat if you guys saw that, because that's a huge confirmation for trades that I look for when the speed of the tape speeds up, especially around a key level. Or like say I was looking to go long here on a double bottom and I see that speed up and I see that selling speed up specifically, I'm going to sit back and say, whoa, pause. I'm not trying to buy this right here. Let me wait a second. And then look at that. So now this may continue, but again, keep in mind, it's not great quality to short right into here right now because one, this was mainly just a target for shorts. We're in that low volume node area from like 68, 80 to 90. So this is still kind of 50-50 because this is more of a bottom reversal area. But if sellers break through this, then that's new information. But the main thing I just wanted to point out here is like, did you guys see in real time, I started calling that out before we just went and broke down here, how the speed of the orders coming in increased. There was not really any large size yet per se, but we started seeing the speed of orders increase dramatically, and then we dropped and broke those lows. That is something that's really hard to see with like a candle chart alone. You can see it on like level 2, just straight up time and sales on a stock. But the book map or heat map or a footprint chart or something like that is like a cheat code for seeing it. And that's stuff that you start to learn and develop a sense for, and you can combine that with key levels, supply and demand, etc., to get really high risk versus reward entries. I don't have a trade set up here, guys, but I'm just teaching and showing you guys things to look for when you do, and say you already have a price action strategy or something like that. If you add order flow and you start learning how to read the tape, you can dramatically increase your precision, which one, improves your win rate because it helps you avoid things that are not good. And two, it improves your risk versus reward because you get really sharp entries. Johnny Cash asked a great question. And yeah, I'm kind of mentally debating that exactly right now. He said, so Matt, in your pre-market plan, you were interested in a pre-market low flush into this low volume node and a recovery, which we got, but because of the order flow selling near the highs, you kind of avoided that idea. Yeah, kind of. I haven't totally voided it because we really haven't broke down 80, but I'm much more cautious on it now after seeing what's developed here. That was a really good thinking, Johnny. The other thing is, I was leaning, my ideal kind of thing for the longs was to see some relative strength start coming in on NQ at the same time of seeing kind of ES test this. And honestly, they're both just staying weak so far. They're both just staying weak. And VX is really holding in this zone from that last swing low. So it'd be great if I saw some kind of confluence, either VX, NQ, something flipped that was, relatively stronger or weaker, that gave another confluence as far as catching a bottom here on ES. I don't love, it could continue to drop through the floor. I don't know, but I don't love shorts as much now because we're kind of already just coming into the area that I wanted to target. I was looking for a pop back up into this box here before we dropped and hit 80, and we've kind of already flushed all the way through 80. And that was a good target for me that I felt the market would draw towards. Remember that 90 to 80 area? So now that we've kind of already filled that, here's a really good insight for you guys. A lot of people focus so much of their attention on their entry models for trades, and they neglect having a high confidence target for their trades. And so what happens is that you will take a lot of trades based on just hunting for your entry models, but without having like a solid high confidence target, you end up not holding the trade long enough. You cut it too soon, or you lose confidence quickly. Now we're kind of dropping under that 80 area. But a really good trade not only has a good entry model and a valid stop loss, but you have something that you have seen time and time again that is a good target that the market draws towards, whether it's a low volume node, a prior swing high, swing low, a supplier demand zone. But having something that you have confidence in holding for, and then when you hit it, you can cut your trade. Yeah, sometimes we, depending on the conditions, we hold winners and we trail, etc. Great. But when you have a plan, a model, etc., a system of how you trade, entry, stop loss, and target, you can never be emotional or feel any kind of way about just taking your piece, catching your entry model, catching your target, and that's it. And then you just, as to the greatest degree of your ability, you be systematic about that and you repeat it. But I just wanted to point out here, like I had a high confidence for that target zone, that 80 to 90. So if I see something that's necessarily an entry model, but I really have nothing to target and I have no plan in mind for it, like don't just jump into trades because you see an entry confirmation without a full trade plan, something that makes sense with the context, with the price action, etc., to target. Because if you don't have confidence in that target, it's going to be really hard for you to consistently hold your winning trades. A lot of weakness coming in. We've fully cut through that 80 area now. Looks like NQ is kind of going to take out prior lows. SOX is really weak and VX is starting to lift off this zone now. So Johnny brought up a great point. So far today, the best trade setup was this when we saw the rally fail under that 6903 to 08 area. The problem was, for my entry model, I wanted to see a retest into here and we just never got it. We got barely any pop. So there was just nothing, I could have just shorted here again at like 93s, 92s, but the problem was for my high probability target, remember what I just talked about, it would have been less than an even 2-to-1 risk versus reward. Now, obviously, with the benefit of hindsight, we've now dropped through that, but that low volume node area around 90 to 80, 68, 90 to 68, 80 on ES has kind of dropped through now. So look at the speed increasing here, some buying stepping in here. Now, if we continue to drop here and bulls defend really aggressively somewhere, like we're starting to see, that could set up a nice little scalp just because we've really had no substantial pops and we're starting to come a long way without really any pops. If I did take a long down here off this basing area from yesterday, I'd probably be looking to target just kind of that middle area between 80 and 90. So like 85 up to 90, a retest up there. But again, things are kind of flipping heavy here. And ultimately, we're in the middle of kind of the range of the last couple weeks still. Yeah, you just, especially with the way the market has chopped up and down the last few weeks, you do not want to chase continuation at the highs and lows. That has not been high probability. We actually just like retested almost yesterday's point of control from a volume profile perspective. And that's where we saw that reaction off of. So where we had this high volume consolidation and rallied out of off the news and that point of control there, we're starting to see a reaction from buyers here. And if that holds, then I could see us retesting like 85 to 90. See how we hit that and like swept up really fast? Again, see how that I called it even before we started to bounce from here, but the tape really sped up down here. So we have some bids sitting here at the 73s. If we trap some late sellers down here and we continue to see some pretty aggressive buying come in, I may look at a quick scalp opportunity off of it back into like just 85 to 90. If we just crush right back through here and sellers remain in control, I'm not interested. We did kind of hit these bids. I like how we're trying to hold right here. Trying a little long here off 74 just to stop under like 72. I want to see this like immediately shoot, and I'm going to go break even. If we don't see an immediate strong reaction from aggressive buyers here, I'm going to be out for just like a 1 point loss. I saw these bids fill and some aggressive buying stepping in. I don't like how it's just flirting around. We're not seeing a continuation from buyers just yet. If this doesn't lift here, I'm going to close this for a tick or two. All right, I'm closing that. About a 1 point loss there. I need to see a stronger reaction from aggressive buyers. It looked good how we filled these bids here, but then the buying just kind of evaporated. See how all this buying just got weak and small? Now it's starting to come back in after it stopped me. Let's see. Watching. Yeah, all the speed and aggression from buyers just kind of fizzled there. So there was no reason for me to hold a big loss there. I just cut it for 1 point. Look at that, dropping through there. So I'm not going to take that now. But we saw how initially when we dropped in here, we saw these bids defend it where these really aggressive buyers were before, around yesterday's point of control. Kind of going against momentum here, but again, I was risking like a point to make potentially 10. So kind of a lower probability, but super high risk versus reward there for a quick little scalp. I'm not ever going to be sad about just taking a little small 1 point loss. It's fine. But what I saw here is how this aggressive buying defended above that high volume point of control from yesterday. This is kind of developed a little bit on the fly. And then when we pulled back in here, we saw these bids defend it. But then the problem is after my entry here, I was speculating we would see aggressive buying again come in, and no aggressive buyers really came in at this time. It just completely fizzled out, and that's why I just cut it. That's okay. That's why we have stop losses. So kind of remaining pretty weak here. If we reclaim this, I'll still potentially be interested. We just had a 200 lot negative delta hit the lows down here. But what I liked was this large aggressive buying that came in and then the bids on this pullback. The problem was after the bids on this pullback, just nothing happened and buyers just kind of gave up. So I'm just chilling here, guys. I don't see, well, here's some aggressive buying came in. Maybe we had a nice little, one more nice little stop hunt. Why didn't this aggressive buying come in when I tried this the first time? Dang it. Come on. We'll see what happens here, guys. It's looking a little iffy though. Starting to speed up in here a little bit. Yeah, and this has been the nature of really why it's been pretty difficult lately. You know, we saw good confirmations here, and then we just kind of stop hunted and you know, did a second little stop hunt. But again, that's why I have extremely tight risk. You know, I can take a 1 point L and get right back in a trade if I see really good confirmations. I like how this is speeding up here. I like how buyers are looking to be kind of aggressive and kind of speeding up here. But again, they need to really get continuation back above 75s and kind of break prior highs to force just a quick squeeze kind of back up into 85. If they don't though, and they lose this, if they lose this level where we've seen all this aggressive buying come in twice now, I don't see much stopping a drop towards 68.55s to yesterday's lows, regular trading hours, like 55s to 35s. Take a look around. VX is kind of coming to life though, and that's adding some pressure. For sure, adding some pressure. VX is kind of coming to life off that zone that I had talked about from that prior swing low. And if we break under here, definitely possible we continue down to that 55 to 35 range around yesterday's lows. Especially seeing two pretty decent attempts from aggressive buyers to get under here. I mean, sorry, two pretty aggressive attempts from buyers to bottom here around yesterday's point of control. Yeah, under this, you know, I don't see much until like 55 to 35. It's kind of looking like last chance for buyers. What I'm thinking here, do a snip. Is if buyers recapture that, then we could go back towards VWAP, back towards that level. We'd want to see some aggressive buying defend above here and kind of hold a pullback. If they fail, likely dropping back towards 55 to 35. Drop this in there. And it's looking honestly pretty heavy. I don't really love chasing shorts to the downside this far down into areas where buyers could potentially step in aggressively. Even though it could happen and we could just continue to trade lower all day today, it's not super great on my end as far as just continuing downside here. But it's, you know, it's moving that way. So it may be just an opportunity to practice patience and just sit on my hands. Welcome, Camille. So what I was looking for over here, again, obviously with the benefit of hindsight, it did not work and I took a small 1-point loss on it. But I liked how we hit kind of that point of control area, higher volume with the tape sped up. We had some pretty aggressive buying. And then at the time, this selling was kind of weaker and we pulled back and held this bid around 73s. So I got a very preemptive is the word, entry here with just a minuscule risk, just looking for a quick scalp pop back into these sellers here around the 80s to 90s. But obviously after my entry, buyers just completely gave up. And so I just cut it. And so it's looking like the second thing that I talked about there, which is if buyers do not kind of immediately get back over this zone, then we're going to probably like kind of break and retest here and drop lower. We did. I didn't take it. But again, if you were watching that, I'd be kind of looking for kind of the break and retest of this key area here where buyers kind of got effed to target 55, potentially down to like 35. NQ is already taking out yesterday's regular trading hours lows, actually yesterday's lows in general. There's a double bottom right here around 25. Try this. 25,383, and NQ just took out that double bottom lows. ES is still relatively strong. Meaning it hasn't dropped nearly as far. It's still well above yesterday's lows, kind of just back in the middle of the range. It's even still above yesterday's regular trading hours lows. So I'm chilling. Think it's a good time to do some giveaways. What do you guys think? All right, guys, so we're going to go ahead and hang on. Some aggressive buying coming in again here. Until we really see a shift in structure, though, I don't want to just sit here and like try to catch a bottom every time aggressive buying comes in, because so far today, every time that's happened, we failed. And we haven't gotten really down to those lows around 55s. So 58s at least. All right. So we've got Apex account, Funded Next account, Alpha Capital account. So in the chat, you're going to enter one time only, !order flow. If you spam the chat with that more than one time, unfortunately, you will not be selected. And we'll do some giveaways for these accounts, guys. There's not much edge here at the current location, in my opinion. So !order flow, we'll give it just a minute, guys. If you want to be entered for the giveaways, one time in the chat. Yeah, SOX is weak. VX is really coming to life. ES, pretty weak. Taking out those 55s now, looks like. So sitting back, sitting on my hands. 1,000 lot negative delta just hit here. All right, guys, we're going to close it in just a minute. !order flow in the chat for the giveaways one time. Again, if you spam the chat with it more than once, you will not be entered. We're going to close it at 10:29. The wheels are coming off this thing, guys. There's just been no sign. Every single pop has just been sold into, and we're just crushing. Taking out those 55s now. So that setup that I just talked about, the kind of the break and retest if buyers fail to recapture here, just played really nicely. I kind of regret not taking that. All right, guys, 10:29. We are going to close it now. So we can go ahead and do the giveaways. We have 3. If you guys don't get selected this time, no worries. There will be more. Like I said, every day, pro traders trading live in here, and opportunities for giveaways. Let me get the list. All entries are in. It is now closed, guys. I will get the list and we will do the giveaway. Man, this is heavy, man. This really just came apart here. What an entry on that setup, though. If anybody took it, the zone that I marked, it flipped into resistance. We broke and retested it. That was gnarly. Right where these aggressive buyers got trapped. I should have taken that. Everything's 2020 in hindsight. But yeah, from the break of this level, once buyers really, were weak under here and weak under that 80 to 90 low volume node, it was a nice opportunity to short from here, at least just targeting these 55s, which is some swing lows from yesterday. All right, guys, I got the list. One sec. Let me put it on screen here for us. Hopefully so we can watch the orders as well. All right, guys, what do we got? Jordan Daughtry, 4723, our first winner. Jordan Daughtry, 4723, what's up, man? Let me know in the chat if you are here, and we'll move on to the next one. There he is. So in order to claim this, guys, you need to just go in the Chart Fanatics Discord, go to the giveaways tab, and follow the instructions there. We do have a couple more. That's a 300K Apex account. Najib ABD X6C. Are you here? Let me know in the chat. There he is. So again, you're just going to run into the giveaways tab in Discord and follow the instructions there. Riman Ganafa. Are you in the chat? There he is. So once again, just follow the instructions there in the giveaways tab of the Chart Fanatics Live Discord to claim your accounts. That's the Alpha Capital. So congratulations. If you guys didn't win today, no worries. There are more giveaways every day on these live streams. So stand by for your chance on the next one. Yep, congratulations, winners. Congrats, guys, congrats. So while I was doing these giveaways, you know, I couldn't talk about this, but I did grab another long. I'll show you guys the trade, but I can't talk through multiple things at once. But I did take a long at 68.50. I'm still holding it, but my risk is break even. But I liked how we saw multiple, 2 attempts there to break down under that 68.55 level. and I saw really aggressive buying hit there. Now this was up. I was looking for a target back above 60, just above this swing high, and we came just a couple points shy of it there, but I am still holding. There's kind of a low volume area that formed between 68, 62 and 68, and that's what I was looking to target. Here's the trade. So I'm still sitting in this. I'm just looking for a fast break above 62 and I'll get all out. It's up 10 points right now at these highs. Seeing all this orange on the order flow. But again, I'll recap this when I close this trade. I was seeing this on my footprint chart and took this on my footprint chart at the same moment I was talking through the giveaways there. There we go. Nice break up into 62. As soon as it slows down, I'm going to close it. All right, I'm all out there for 12.5 points. So I closed at 63.25. I was just looking for a retest of this low volume node area. I will show you guys the trade. And I will show you what I saw in a recap here. So again, I'm kind of de-risked for December. Call it de-risk December. So I'm just trading one contract. But here, let me put this over here while we watch this so we can watch the live order flow. Again, remember what I talked about. This may keep going to the moon from here. That may have been the low a day. But again, my target that I had high confidence in was just that 62 to like 70 area. And that was because it was an intraday low volume node on that drop. And I saw the buying, or I saw the selling energy fade out at the lows. And again, because we came all the way down under that 55 target with no pop, the tape is all on the red side. So to me, once we drop under that 55 swing low and I see buying or selling energy fade out and a lot of aggressive buying slam in, I jumped in it at 50. My entry was at 6850.75 and my stop was just under about 48. So I was only risking like 2.5 points there for a 12-point gain, almost 13-point gain. So let me recap and show you guys what I saw. Again, I would have told you guys live, except for I was literally talking through the giveaways as that happened. But let's recap it here. So on this drop here, again, remember I had that 68.55 swing low in mind. That's the location. And on VX, I was seeing it start to wick back off the 17 level, which was kind of where we kind of opened today. So I'm looking at just a higher time. I'm literally just looking at a 4-hour chart on VX. So I started to see that wicking. Again, this may go to the moon from here. That may be at the low of the day, but I took my high probability target and I'll show you guys why. So look at that aggressive selling at 1028 as we took out that low under 55. So look at all that aggressive selling as we broke under that key swing low level that I talked about as a target. So this was a target for me for shorts, or it was a possible fake out bottom reversal. Again, not trying to catch the low of the day, just trying to catch a nice little liquidity sweep and target a low volume node above, being that 62 to 70 area. The 62 to 70 area could be a spot to reinitiate shorts. So I'm not trying to hold longs through that. I'm just targeting it. So again, minuscule risk. So where was my stop? So I saw see how this aggressive selling came in on the break under that 50 area. I can't see price here because I'm zoomed in. So here's 50, that 55 area was up here. Ugh, that's messy. Sorry, guys. So this is that break. Look at that 1,000 lot negative delta on the break of that 55 swing low. But after we broke under that, look at the delta on the right-hand side of these bars. There wasn't anything substantial as far as selling. And then on this last little dip here, look at, like, there was almost no selling there. So after seeing almost no selling, again, that is a sign of exhaustion for me. For sellers, they went too far without any retracements. Sellers are out of gas here. See how that delta, the right-hand side of these bars is the delta. See how it just declined? And we had at the low here, we had 14 lots negative delta, 14 total transacted. So very little volume, right? Look at these past ones, 100 lots, 56 lots, 59 lots, 59 lots again. And this one, we dipped back with almost no volume. And so I could see this clear on Bookmap, but you can see on the delta here, right where my entry is, look at all of that aggressive buying that came in right there where I went. So as soon as I see that aggressive buying start to step in with the context of, one, we broke under this 55 swing low and failed. Two, the delta from aggressive sellers ran out of gas down here. Okay, and then we can see on these bars, the cumulative delta from buyers flipped over. So we have a key location, a prior swing low. We have delta from aggressive sellers exhausted. And then we have a recapture of that with really aggressive buying that I immediately went long with. And so my stop loss was just like right here under these sellers, right? So if I'm speculating that these sellers are effed, they're trapped. So my entry is going with these aggressive buyers. And as soon as price broke higher, I immediately moved my stop loss to break even. Because for this type of entry, catching a fake out under a level, it's like right now we're squeezing shorts or I'm getting out. Okay. And so my target for this, if I look over here on the volume profile, was this. Look, see where I exited? 63.25. Look at this low volume area that I called between 62 and 67. That was my target. Intraday low volume node, right? Sellers they went too far without any retracement. They got trapped under a prior low. It was an easy win, almost no risk, 12 points back up into that target. So it was an easy win. Again, when I told you guys about the trade, I think we were right here. We were like floating in the middle and I showed you my stop loss was already set at break even. I had an auto stop loss set up at the 70s, but again, I just manually flattened that once we broke above. See that? Once we broke above those 62 highs, I just manually took it off. Flattened all. So I was risking like less than 2 points to make 12 points there. Everybody tracking that? Again, apologies. I was talking through the giveaways live, but that's the trade. That's why I took it. I told you guys when I was sitting in it, but that's exactly what I saw for the fake out under the 55s. Again, I'm kind of de-risked for December. I'm just trading one contract. But here's what I would leave you guys with today. Go back. You guys saw how patient I stayed today. I took that one trade for a 1 point loss. And now I just took another trade for a 12-point win. Again, just risking like 1.5 points there. Again, this is squeezing up from here now. So, but again, I was just trying to catch my high probability target. That's what I had in mind. So you guys saw when I showed you that trade live, it was still like only halfway to my target and pulling back. But again, I had that high probability target in mind because it was a low volume node. Remember what I talked about earlier. Have confidence in your target, hold for it. When it hits it, you have no reason to have FOMO. Who cares what if the market sold off from there or if it goes and rallies through there? Who freaking cares? I had a plan, I had an entry, I had a stop loss, and I had a target, and I did that. So I can't be mad. I can't have FOMO about, oh, I didn't hold this for the ultimate bottom. If we say this is the low of the day and we retrace 100 points from here, I had a plan, I had a trade set up, and I executed that. I can't be mad about that. Don't have FOMO about things you can't control. Just follow the plan. Is that helpful for you guys? I will drop this screenshot in the Chart Fanatics Discord if you guys want to review. Honestly, what was even the risk? I wasn't even looking at price for that entry. I was setting my stop based on, so my stop was at like 49.25. I was setting my stop based on like the footprint chart where I was seeing the delta. And I was in at 50.75. So I was literally risking like 1.5 points. Again, I call this a fake out bottom reversal setup. I'm not trying to catch the ultimate low of the day on it, right? I'm just catching a scalp off of it. So you know the location, you see what happens. You guys are free to go back test. I just dropped the screenshot with the setup and the target in the Chart Fanatics Discord. Again, this is my fake out bottom reversal setup. Go back test it for yourself. So looking at Bookmap here, again, we saw the really aggressive buying come in. So my entry being down here at 50. And if I just really expand this here, look at that selling here, then aggressive buying started to come in. And then this last pullback, again, this is the same thing that I showed you guys on the footprint chart, just seeing it on Bookmap. Look how small these sell bubbles were here. And look at that. Ding, ding, ding. Do you see that bid? He wasn't here before. He popped in and defended that pullback. So once I saw that, and then I saw the aggressive buyers start coming back in, I just went with them, and I had a very tight stop loss here. Again, my stop loss is based on the delta that I saw on the footprint chart. And this is what I call, on these fake out bottom reversals, I call this like a right now or right out setup. So that's why as soon as we swept up over these highs, my stop loss immediately went break even. And I was only risking 1.5 points to begin with. So I was risking one contract, 1.5 points. I was risking $75 to make 12 points. So like 600, nothing huge, guys, right? And just, I'm kind of de-risked right now for December, the conditions, but there we go. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap up the stream here. Hopefully you guys got a lot of value of that. Again, the screenshots and everything that I talked through is dropped in the Chart Fanatics Discord under the Matt Owen channel under CF Live. That is for your viewing pleasure. Go ahead and back test that, review that, and I will see you guys next Friday. Thank you all. Peace. Oh, and one last thing. If you guys have any questions, I'm very responsive. Send me a DM on Instagram. Thank you, guys.